So first of all, it is something which is dealing with primary on your mind, right? So we have our modern system has certain limitation when it comes in the perspective of mind. Something which is dealing with mind, the modern science have its own limitation. So this is the place where yoga plays its vital role. So like a happiness, like a sadness, or joyful bliss, stress, anxiety, depression, it's all happening within you. Yeah, you are the one who is experiencing all this, and these emotions or this situation respond, and which it is quite normal for an individual. For example, if you are walking and a dog is barking at you, you feel little tensed. Yeah, you feel little anxious. It's quite normal. But that fear is persisting throughout your life. That is something abnormal, right? So when it goes abnormal, and why it goes this abnormality? So when you are going for an interview, definitely the interviewer is going to ask you some questions, right? And which makes you anxious. What makes you anxious there? Why you feel anxious? Because you know that definitely the interviewer is going to ask you some question. That's a fact. And what makes you anxious there? So it is our inability to handle the situation, right? That inability to handle the situation which makes you anxious. So otherwise, yeah, if you are working for a private firm, you have to fulfill the target. For a certain time period, you have to fill the target. So you will get a work pressure, and obviously you get stressed out of it. Yes, and that stress and anxiety is found in most of our youngsters, especially youngsters. Why it is happening to our youngsters, right? Because what the fact which I felt in any of our educational system, we are not dealing with how to tackle this stressful situation. Yeah? There is none of the syllabus is explaining how to handle a stressful situation, or how to handle this anxiety, or how to work without any work pressure, right? So for some extent it could be a a problem of our education system, but we cannot see this much of problem in our older age people. There we can, many times ourselves we felt that how calm they are, how quiet they are, how easily they are handling the situation, right? So especially I'm pointing youngsters means the cases, the anxiety or the depression cases who is approaching me as a doctor, most of them have been from the age of 15 to 30. Most of them are from about 75% patients are coming from the age limit of 15 to 30. And all these youngsters, not all, almost all the youngsters, they have find a way to get out of this stress and anxiety on alcohol and cigarette or any other substance abuse. And why they are choosing this alcoholism or smoking tendency to get out of the stress? Because they doesn't know how to handle it. Because they doesn't know how to handle a stressful situation or anxious situation, they are amputating themselves. They are finding temporary relief on these substance abuse things. So we all know that all the human beings have physiologically a same pattern of construction. Everybody have physiologically 99.9% everyone is common. But when it comes to mind, or when it comes to intelligence, okay, intelligence, intellectual and awareness, when we dealing with these three terms, that makes some difference on individuals. So even though they are same in physiologically, but in terms of intellectual intelligence or awareness, they are completely different person. So if a person doesn't have a strong base in his intelligence or intellectual, he will be more vulnerable for this suffering. Suffering means this anxiety, stress, depression, or panic attacks, anything. That means be the suffering. So, like, okay. So here, where all the impact goes, where this impact is seen, visible. So there it comes the mind, the term called mind, right? So mind is just something which we cannot explain in words. It doesn't have a shape to demonstrate. It doesn't have a any physical properties. Only we can feel it, right? So something we are dealing something which is unknown to us, or which is not visible to us, right? So I would like to say call mind as a faculty of our consciousness, or a faculty of our thoughts. So the thoughts or our consciousness which always have some impact on our mind. Also, yeah, also we can see that there is some connection between our intelligence, our intellectual, and our awareness with our mind. So it is like, I will tell you one example. Okay, if you want to pluck a rose flower, a beautiful rose flower in the garden, you want to go and pluck the flower. Yeah, that is a desire which you got. So that, but you know that there is something, a thorn, small thorns will be there. If you touch on the thorns, you will get pain. So you are using your intellectual, your knowledge, that you know that there is a thorn in the flower. So without touching the thorn, I have to pluck the flower, right? So there you use your intelligence, the desire which is formed in your mind, and to fulfill that desire, you use your knowledge, yeah? Your intelligence. So your desire is fulfilled, right? So this is how the intelligence or the intellectual have connection with our mind. So the emotion parts, the emotions, your desire, yeah? Or yeah, all these things are, we can express it in our mind. The base is in our mind, and it is associated with your intelligence or intellectual or consciousness. So this is how it is interconnected. Okay, and okay, so when I heard about one quoting from Sadhguru, so he is saying that these intelligence or intellectual, or if you are dealing with the mind, we can consider it as a knife. So if you are cutting with a knife and you don't know how to use the knife, and every day you will keep cutting yourself, but you think that that's the problem of the knife. But it is not the problem of the knife. It is the problem which you are handling it. You are handling that knife in a wrong way. That's why you're getting hurted. So here the knife, which means our intellectual or our small things in our mind, the factors which are contributing the mind. If you don't know how to handle it in a proper way, you will end up with miseries. Okay, so first thing we have discussed about what is meant by stress or anxiety, and how it is going to impact in your mind, and what is the connection between our intellectual, our intelligence, or our consciousness through our mind. Okay, fine. So in the next part, okay, so what is meant by an intelligence? Yeah, we have to say what the word is called intelligence, right? So what does it mean by an intelligence? So intelligence is nothing but the ability to use the knowledge. When you have some knowledge, you have some experience, and where you are going to use it, that is your intelligence. According to the situation, how you are using it shows your intelligence. And intellectual, which means it is a we can call it a developed faculty. Yeah, can be a developed faculty for reasoning. So if you are reasoning something, it shows your intellectual power, and if you are handling a situation with your knowledge, it shows your intelligence. Okay, so these all contributes your mind or your mental ability. So a person who is lack with this intelligence or intellectual perspective for managing a stressful situation leads to its anxiety. Okay, so here, what is meant by anxiety? Anxiety is nothing but a reaction which is shown towards a stressful situation. It means if you are facing a stressful situation, yeah, because of the stressful situation, your body will show some responses. That response is called as anxiety. Either anxiety or depression, whatever it is. It's the response towards a stressful situation. So you have to know how to handle a stressful situation. And that's how yoga really works. Managing a stressful situation wisely and professionally with easiness. Okay, fine. So we know that, okay, the anxiety will cause many physiological effects, right? So we'll see one by one. What are all those physiological effects which is shown by this anxiety or the stress? So when we're dividing our human body into different parts, like our central nervous system, including your brain and spinal cord, then our CVS, cardiovascular system, which includes our heart, blood vessels, these things. Then GIT, gastrointestinal system, which means our digestive system, your stomach, your intestines, your excretory system, yeah. Then your respiratory system, including your lungs, and your immunity, yeah, especially your immunity and your vital energy. So this anxiety or the stress is going to impact in all these physiological aspects. So we'll see how it is going to create an impact. So there is something called a sense of drew. Okay, sense of drew means it is a difficulty in concentrating. When you are anxious, you are stuck in that particular thought. On one thought or a multiple thoughts, you are stuck on it. So you are not able to concentrate on any other things, or you are not free to make a decisions, or you are not free to make a appropriate reasoning, because you are stuck in that some group of thoughts. And that one particular thought which creates some impact is called sense of drew. Like you feel like hopeless, you feel like anxious, or always looks like sad, tensed. So it's all the signs of that sense of drew. And if you are persisting that anxiety for a long time, yeah, if you are taking that anxiety for a long time, it can end up with a depression. Why means, okay, if you are stuck with this one thought which is keep on disturbing you, because of that thought, for socially you will be withdrawn from many other things, right? For example, okay, if you have exam fear, you didn't perform at the exam well, so obviously you will have a fear that, oh, what could be my future, yeah, and because of that you are not facing your family, you are not talking to your friends, so it will progressively lead to a depression state. So that's how the chronic anxiety leads to a depression, especially a social withdrawal. More than a depression, it will lead to a social withdrawal. So that is another aspect of impact of this anxiety. Now, when we considering our nervous system, our brain, spinal cord, and the entire nervous system, a long-term impact of anxiety, yeah, it can cause many difficulties like panic attack. So many of the students, especially the your students, they have vulnerable for this panic attack. Panic attack means they will be worrying about their exams or some work stress. Even youngsters are stuck with their work stress, so they all develop chances of developing a panic attack. Why this panic attack is happening, they doesn't know, because they are unknown. They are in an unknown fear. They doesn't know what is the reason for that fear or how to handle that fear. That causes the panic attacks. So when you are getting an anxiety in a hormonal level or in a physiological level, when you say, it create an impact in your brain and your nervous system. We know that brain is the master who is controlling all our process, right? And it's all working with certain hormones, usage of some hormones. So when you're dealing with the hormones, especially there are something called stress hormone. So stress hormone examples are called adrenaline or cortisol. Okay, so these are certain hormones which are produced normally in an individual to deal with a stressful situation. We are taking the same example. If a dog is coming to bite you, your first response is to get out of there, or by running or throwing some stones. Yeah? So your body immediately change into that stressful response, which means it will produce the adrenaline, it produces the cortisol, which makes your muscles more contracting, it increases your heart rate, and it will makes you ready to fight against the situation. And after the dogs went away, usually all these signs should come back to normal. Right? This adrenaline level or the cortisol level will come back to normal, and your muscle will get relaxed, your heart rate become normal. So that situation is handled, or it is get over. But if an anxious patient, for an anxious patient, these hormonal imbalances or the stressful response will keep on persisting, and that will cause a negative impact. One example I will tell you. If you are noticing one anxious patient, or if you are so much tensed, you feel that you're getting more hungry. You'll be more hunger. You'll keep on eating the food. You will eat in a faster way, right? So as a result, you can see that there will be weight gain. Also, it will affect in a negative way. If a chronic anxiety is there, you will end up with some depression. So in that state, you won't feel or urge to eat. You will be end up with loss of appetite, and you will see that the patient will be very lean. So these are the physiological responses related with the anxiety. When we take an cardiovascular system in your heart rate, when you're anxious, you can feel that heart rate is rapid. It will cross more than 100. Also, it will impact on your blood pressure. It can cause some angina, which means some chest pain. So you have seen that in movies, at least, right? A patient who have a symptom of heart attack or something, if you heard some bad news, immediately he develops a chest pain, right? It's because of that anxiety. Then, if you comes with our digestive system, all this hormonal imbalance will create some abnormality in our digestive system. You can feel that overeating or stomach ache, acidity, hyperacidity, because it's all because of the hormonal imbalance created by this stress or the anxiety. Or sometimes you can feel that exam fear. Students who have exam fear may develop with diarrhea. Because of the fear, the GIT or the gastrointestinal motility, the movement of the intestine and stomach will be more faster. That results with diarrhea. Someone with some other patient end up with IBS, like irritable bowel syndrome, which means alternate constipation and diarrhea. So these are some diseases or disorders which is associated with anxiety. Then we discussed about how it have an impression on our immune system. Okay. So we know that when we are anxious, our breathing rate will be more. Yeah? So if a patient who have an asthma attack, the doctor will definitely say you keep away from anxious thoughts or anxious news. We should not feel the patient anxious, because when you're anxious, the chances of asthma attack will be more, right? In that way, the breathing pattern will be in a higher rate. For a normal individual, if it is from 8 to 12 breath per minute, it will be, we can say, 20 or 25 plus in an anxiety patient, because they are not conscious of any of these physiological changes, because they are stuck in the thought process, the thought which is disturbing them. And when this breathing rate is more, especially I'm focusing about breathing rate because this breathing have a vital impact, very drastic impact in our human being. I will come to that point later. So in our immune system, when the respiratory rate is more, our brain will receiving more amount of oxygen. Yeah? And the brain processes keep on activating because of a thought. Because you are thinking on one thought or one situation or one something which you have experienced. Yeah, this thought process will increase the breath rate, and thereby it will increase the secretions of hormones, and the heart rate or your digestion rate, everything is altered, and this thing definitely create an impact on your immune system, which means it will lowering your immunity. That entire physiology part I'm not taking it. If in some other session, if you can, I will explain to you detailing how it is going to impact. So here you want to know is this immunity will be lowered for an anxiety patient. Okay. So a patient who have less immunity is more vulnerable for any kind of infection. For example, now it's a COVID time. Right. The patient who is not following any hygienic pattern, or he is an anxious patient, he is more vulnerable for this COVID attack because he is lacking of his immunity. Okay. So this is how the physiological effect of this anxiety. Now we'll see how to cope up, or how to get out of this anxiety with yoga. So how yoga is working on this anxiety and stress. So as we discussed, this anxiety affects physical, mental, emotional and social planes of being. Yeah. The one thing called anxiety, it has effect on your physical level, your mental level, your emotional level and even your social planes of being. So we are going to deal all this aspect through yoga, especially with Ashtanga Yoga. So Ashtanga Yoga, which means called eight limbs of yoga. Ashtanga. Ashta means 8, Anga means limbs. It is developed by Maharshi Patanjali, the same Patanjali, in his Patanjali Yoga Sutras. So now we will discuss how to apply this yogic concept in our individual life. So for that, we have to know what is meant by this Ashtanga Yoga. Ashtanga Yoga is basically divided into 2. One is called Bahiranga Yoga, second one is called Antaranga Yoga. Bahiranga Yoga means certain practices which we are practicing outside. Yeah? Or external discipline. We can call it as external discipline. And the second one is called Antaranga. Antaranga means is internal discipline. So Bahiranga Yoga means external discipline and Antaranga Yoga means internal discipline. Okay. So under that Bahiranga Yoga, for the external discipline, we are dealing with 5 subtopics. So first one is called Yamas. Okay. Yamas means social discipline. Then Niyama. Niyama means self-discipline. Yamas, Niyamas. Then we have asana, yoga asana. That part you know what is the yoga asanas. Then we have something called pranayama. Then we have pratyahara. Pratyahara means just controlling your senses. Okay. So first, social discipline or niyamas. Second one, self-discipline or niyamas. Third one, asana part for the physical postures. Then pranayama means the vitality, something which deals with the vitality or the energy level. Then pratyahara. Pratyahara means the control over our sense organs. Okay. So these are the basic 5 concepts of Bahiranga Yoga. Now we'll discuss it one by one. What is meant by yamas? Yama itself have 5 sub-unit. Yeah? 5 different sub-unit. So first one we call it ahimsa. Ahimsa, which means already we all know what is meant by ahimsa, like non-violence. So along with non-violence, it is our another meaning of kindness. We should be very kindful. That's meant by ahimsa. Second one, satya. Satya means truthfulness, which means you should be truthful in your intention and in your action. Both in your intention and your actions, it should be truthfulness. Then third one we call as asteya. Asteya, which means abandonment to intention to possess what we doesn't belongs. Like there are certain things which will be not belongs to us, and you will get an urge to keep all the things within you, right? For example, if you're getting a student, right, the student will think that okay, this quarter exam I got a second rank, but I want to pass get a first rank. So for that, if the teacher is giving you one book and asks you to share to the classmates, and you think that no, I want this first rank, so I will not share to any of my friends. I will keep it myself and I will study and I will take the first rank. That is meant by this asteya. That's all comes into asteya. Or if something is not belongs to you, if a property, if a land which is not belongs to you, and you are going to take it with forceful or cheating someone, and you are keeping that land within you, it's something called as asteya, and it won't give you a permanent satisfaction. All the time you will be anxious when someone may argue that on this that land. These things will keep on disturbing you, right? So we discuss ahimsa, satya, and asteya. So the third one becomes brahmacharya. So here brahmacharya means it's not like celibacy. It's like self-resistance. Brahmacharya means self-resistant. So there will be many material pleasures, right? Materialistic pleasure. So if you are getting, if you are having a car of one normal Tata Nano car you have, but you will keep on thinking that I want to go for another one, like one Hyundai car. Then you will go for a Hyundai. So the next you get a desire that no, this is not sufficient for me. I want to go for a Benz or BMW, like that. So then that materialistic pleasure, you are stuck in that materialistic pleasure. That's called as brahmacharya. It comes under brahmacharya. So how to get out of it? By self-resistance. So that self-resistance is called brahmacharya, fourth one. And the last one is called aparigraha. Aparigraha, which means non-possessiveness. Non-possessiveness, or other words we can say it as known by ourselves. It's a knowledge of oneself. It's called aparigraha. In yogic concept, all the ahimsa, satya, asteya, brahmacharya, and aparigraha have is practical meanings. The word meaning will be something different in Sanskrit, but in practical meaning, these are comes under this term. So we discussed about yama, under yama, Ahimsa, Satya, Asteya, Brahmacharya, Aparigraha. Okay? Now we will deal with the second one. So the second one is called as Niyamas, or the self-discipline. So in self-discipline, first it comes Saucha. Saucha, which means cleanliness. You should be clean. Not only in physical way, you physically, environmentally, and psychologically, or in mental aspect. So all the three aspects you should be clean. That is meant by Saucha. Okay. Then we comes with Santosha. Santosha is like contentment or happiness. Happiness in the means unconditioned happiness. So, for example, if you're seeing a baby who's smiling at you, definitely you feel happy, right? So, like a baby, you should be able to create happiness, right? That's meant by this Santosha. Then we have Tapas. So, first we deal with Saucha, second one Santosha, third one Tapas. So, Tapas means self-discipline. Self-discipline means you should be organized by yourself. In every aspect, you should be organized. So there should be a neat pattern in your life. Yeah. So that's will be tapas. The word meaning of tapas is not applicable here. Here tapas means self-discipline or self-organization. Then we have the fourth one, which is called as Swadhyaya. Swadhyaya means self-analysis or learning from your experiences or learn from the observation. So developing your observation skills or your self-analyzing skill and improving your knowledge comes under Swadhyaya. Okay, so from a situation or from an experience, you have to analyze it and you have to learn it and you have to improve your knowledge, and that knowledge can be applicable or it shows your intelligence. Clear? Okay. And the last one is called Ishvara Pranidhana, which is very important. So most of the time we heard that anxiety along with the word called ego, right? Ego, or we call it as I-ness. Yes, I am the one. That superiority thought called ego, right? So how to get out of this ego? The best way is called Ishvara Pranidhana. Ishvara Pranidhana means surrendering all to the divine. Nothing is mine. The concept of nothing is mine. Everything is comes from the divine. So that divine concept is called as Ishvara Pranidhana. If you are not believing in a God, fine. If you're not believing in a God, is fine. But you can still do this Ishvara Pranidhana on your action. Yeah? You can consider this Ishvara Pranidhana to your action. You can feel that, okay, this Ishvara Pranidhana or this surrenderness towards my karma, that is also considered to be an Ishvara Pranidhana. So, in Niyamas, 5 things have been discussed. First one, Saucha means cleanliness. So, cleanliness means your physical, environmental, and mental. So, environmental is also our responsibility. The place which we belong to should be clean. If I tell you one example, if you are living in a place in the center of a fish market, what kind of positiveness you can feel, or what kind of positiveness you can get from there? Nothing. It's all surrounded with the dirt, right? So the environment should be clean, and it is very important to create a vital effect or positive effect or a positive vibe, right? That's how Saucha is important. Then Santosha, which means unconditional happiness or unconditional love. Then Tapas, which means self-organized. Then Swadhyaya. Swadhyaya means self-analyzing or learning through observation. Yeah? Thus you are improving your knowledge level. That's meant by Swadhyaya. Then Ishvara Pranidhana, which means surrenderness. the surrenderness to the divine, which is very much essential to get out of this ego. Okay? So we discussed yamas and niyamas. Now the third one is called asana, yoga asanas. So before you're practicing a yoga asana, internally and externally, you have to follow this yamas and niyamas. Then go for asana part. So in asana part, why we have to practice asana? So here asana is something which create your physical and your physiology and psychology balanced. It create a connection between your body and your mind. That's how this asana is important. I will tell you one example. Okay, in the physiological part, we discussed how anxiety will cause some hormonal imbalances and that effect creates in your body systems, right? For example, if you are having a muscular cramp, if you feel anxiety, you get a muscular cramps, or you can feel a stomach ache, yeah? Or you can feel some pain in your legs. So that time, if you are practicing a yoga asana, you can feel that the muscles or the place will be stretched, yeah, and there will be alternate compression and relaxation on your abdomen, and thus abdominal pain or muscle pain or leg pain, everything get resolved. This is how this asana is important when we are dealing with anxiety. Yeah? So it will help to relax the body. Yeah? Asana will help you to relax your body. I mean, physically you will get relaxed. Once you feel physically got relaxed, simultaneously your mind will also start getting relaxation. So that's why yoga asana will create a bridge between your mind and your body. Okay, so it is the part which brings equilibrium. We can say it's an equilibrium. Yeah? So asana, okay, when we go to the yogic concept of asana, it is said as Thiram Sukham Asanam. Thiram means comfort. Sukham means comfort. Thiram means stability. Okay. So when you are practicing a yoga posture, first you should be comfort. Then you should be stable on it. Otherwise, it will cause a negative impact. I will tell you how. Okay. If you are planning or if you are only good in practicing one asana while sitting in a chair, okay, that means it is your comfort zone. If you're practicing a yoga posture or yoga practice sitting in a chair, that is your comfort zone. If someone forces you to lie down or sit in Padmasana or some other yogic meditating posture or lying down on the floor and practice yoga, it is not your comfort zone. Until it is not in your comfort zone, it will create a negative impact. So whenever you are practicing a yoga, you have to know where you feel comfort and steadiness. Steadiness means, okay, if you are practicing Soorya Namaskara, you are able to do it for one round. Enough. That one round shows your stability. And if someone is forcing you to keep on doing 10 rounds, which is you are not comfortable and you won't feel any stability or steadiness on it, yeah, it will create a negative impact. So whenever you're practicing asana, first one, it should be comfort and then it will be stable. Someone is asking anything? If you have any doubts or any questions, at the end I will keep 5 minutes. At that time you can ask it or you can check it on the chat. Okay. Fine. So that's about the asana part. So we discuss yama, niyama and asana. So the fourth one is called pranayama. So most of you have heard about pranayama, right? So pranayama is the art of building a strong life force. So the art of building a strong life force is called as pranayama. So here the pranayama, according to Maharshi Patanjali, he said that Shwasa Prachwasayor Gedivichedaha idi pranayama, which means so there is something we are altering our respiration. So this altering our respiration in order to build a vital force is called as our pranayama, the main concept of pranayama. Okay. So how this pranayama create an impact? It is very important in physiology. When we discussing it with the physiology, we know that there are two systems. One is called sympathetic and another one is called parasympathetic system. So the function of sympathetic system or sympathetic neurons is just stimulation. It is responsible for a stimulating effect. And parasympathetic system which have a relaxation effect. Okay, so there are two systems. One is called sympathetic and one is parasympathetic. Sympathetic have the properties of stimulation or stimulation of bodily functions, and parasympathetic have the property to make it brings it back to relaxed state. So in every human beings, the sympathetic and parasympathetic are in an equilibrium. So once the sympathetic system raised up, immediately the parasympathetic also will comes and maintains the equilibrium. And when we are doing pranayama, it completely depends upon our breathing. So here our right nostril, okay, our right nostril which is connected to the sympathetic system. Yeah, the sympathetic part of our brain cells is connected to the right nostril, and the left nostril is dealing with the parasympathetic system. So when you are practicing Nadi Shuddhi Pranayama, I hope most of you knows mean by Nadi Shuddhi Pranayama, right? So when you're practicing Nadi Shuddhi, which means inhale through the left, close the left, open the right and exhale. Again, inhale from the right, close the right and exhale through the left. This simple practice, it brings an equilibrium between, it creates an equilibrium between your sympathetic and parasympathetic system. So when you are in an anxious, in your anxiety state, your sympathetic system will be more active. Yeah, your sympathetic system is the system which is going to be more active, or sympathetic neurons are more active, and that creates some negative effect. So when you are practicing this pranayama, it's stimulating, it's bringing back this sympathetic system to a normal level. Also, it will keep on maintaining that equilibrium. So this is how the physiology of this process, or the scientific the scientific explanation to this practice we can expect. Then, okay, so we discussed the yamas, niyamas, pranayama. Okay, then there is something called pratyahara. So pratyahara, which means I already told you, it means the control over our senses. Okay, pratyahara means control. So sense organs are something which is responsible for external influence. Okay, which means concentrating on okay, if you're concentrating on a class, suddenly you feel you're hearing one song, a beautiful song. Obviously your concentration will get distracted. You will be distracted that song. So, and also if someone is cooking, when you are praying at home, your meditation time, at that time if someone is cooking in the kitchen, obviously because of that smell, you get distracted. So that factors which are causing the distraction is mainly our sense organs. So to get control over our sense organs is called as pratyahara. Okay, So on that, so in the entire five sense organs, I would like to deal with the taste or the tongue. So it deals with the concept of our food, right? So definitely they have a proven science that the food which we are eating have a definite or a clear influence over character. Okay, so it's like a yeah. If you are eating some wrong food, you are having a wrong food, it will create a wrong impression, a wrong impact in your immune system or any other body system. Especially it is dealing with the immune system. And so once, yeah. So the selection of a food, the selection of the food have three categories. So according to yoga, the food is classified into three. First one is called tamasic, second one rajasic, and third one is called sattvic. Okay, so tamasic food means after consuming a tamasic food you feel lethargic or sluggish. Yeah, you feel very lethargic. Then it comes with the rajasic food. So rajasic food which keeps you restless, especially spicy foods. These spicy foods are comes under rajasic. And sattvic food means the food which feel you energetic and you feel very light. So that's called as sattvic food. So this is the concept of food according to yoga. And definitely the food what we consume have an impact of our character. Yeah? So also it will impact on our thought process, it will impact on our bodily system and everything. So in sattvic food, when we are dealing with sattvic food, yeah, so there is something, a concept called mitahara. Mitahara means how to maintain a proper diet. So according to Hatha Yoga Pratipika, it is said like susnigdha madhurahara chadurdhamsha vivarjitaha ujyate shiva sampritye etat sattvikam uchyate. So here susnigdha madhurahara means the food should be a semi-solid. It should not be very hard or it should not be too light or too watery. So it should be in a semi-solid way. Then madhurahara. Here madhura means not sweet. It means it's a balanced. Like you can have it with a little spice, or it should be, or it should not be no more spicy, or it should not be more pungent. It should not be more bitter. So it should be a balanced way. So that's called as madhura. Madhura means when you're consuming it, you won't feel any difficulties. You have to appreciate the taste and it should be easily passed. So that means susnigdha madhurahara. Then it comes chadurdhamsha vivarjitaha. Chadurdhamsha vivarjitaha means 1/4 of your stomach should be empty, which means you should not be overfeeded. So 1/4 of the stomach should be empty. That means chadurdhamsha vivarjitaha. Then it comes bhujyate shiva sampritye. Bhujyate shiva sampritye means you have to have the food as like an offering to the god. So you are seeing that the Brahmins or some many of our South Indian culture will offer to God something, right? Or will pray before we are having food. So that means by of bhujyate shiva sampritye etat sattvikam uchyate. This is called as a sattvic way of having food or sattvic diet. Okay. So this is the one thing which comes under pratyahara. Then it comes our antaranga yoga. Antaranga yoga means your internal discipline. So on that only one part I am taking, which is called meditation. There are a lot of meditation, different kinds or different techniques of meditation, and the concept behind all the meditation is same. According to your comfort zone, as I told in asana part, as per your comfort zone, you can select any of the meditation technique. But the main concept of this meditation is just for analyzing yourself. if you want to analyze yourself, go for a meditation. So it means that one inner capacity, the inner capacity of the person, it is analyzed and it should not be compared to anyone else. Which means if you are able to concentrate, or if you are able to being in a meditative state for 1 minute, it's fine. That 1 minute is fine. You can improve the time with constant practice. And the person who is sitting nearby you, and if he is sitting for a 10 minutes or a 1 hour or 10 hour, you don't feel bad that you did it for only 1 minute. If you did it for 1 minute or 1 day or a 1 year throughout, whatever it is just for analyzing yourself. So once we got analyzing ourselves, our entire mind, our entire body, everything will be calmed down. So it brings a balance. Meditation brings a balance on your thought process. You will be end up with multiple thoughts, but when you are meditating, you are focused by yourself, or you're inside your consciousness. Right? It will be, the consciousness will be enhanced, and you are focused on yourself, not on the thought process. So it will calm down the thought process. Once the thought process are calmed down, that physiological response or hormonal responses or the brain activities will be calmed down. Once the brain activity and their thought process is calmed down, then your emotion will be balanced. Yeah? So it's all interconnected. Your emotions, your physiological responses, and your brain activity, and your thought process. So it's all interconnected. So meditation is the technique which gives you a connection with the, or brings balance with all these things like. So this is how yoga is going to work on your anxiety. It's not just simply dealing with one perspective. Like in a modern medicine, with one tablet you can calm down your mind. No, yoga is not like nothing like that. And you can see none of the whatever be the medications, whatever be the system of medicines, it have its own limit when it deals with the mind or anxiety or depression, stress, whatever it is. And yoga is the only science which I am suggesting to my patients to come to get out of this stress, to get out of the anxiety, and to success them or make them a successful life. So when we are the practical aspect, when we are dealing with the practical aspect of all these things, it should be different from different schools. We have different schools of practice, different styles of practice. So in another section or some other session, we will discuss how we can apply it. Okay. So this is for the basic understanding of your anxiety and how yoga is work on anxiety. Okay. I hope I have not wasted your time. Something will enter your mind. Okay. So this is your time, last 5 minutes. You can ask any question. Either you can chat me or you can ask me.
Thank you very much for the session, Andy. It was wonderful explanation about anxiety and stress. So when we were talking about the comfort zone and the asanas in the comfort zone, right? Slowly when we are practicing, can we push ourselves to increase the level of comfort?
Exactly. It's like if you are not new to the system, sorry, if you are a newcomer to the system, definitely you need some time to expand yourself, right? And the first concept is you are seeing someone is practicing yoga for 1 hour continuously, and you are forcing yourself to practice the same asana for 1 hour. It will be create a negative effect. You will end up with miseries. You will end up with body pain, right? So wherever you feel comfort, be there. If you are able to hold in an asana for 5 count, enough. That on that 5 count you are perfect, right? But keep on practicing the 5 second. We can become 10 second, 1 minute, 10 minute, 1 hour, 2 hour, what how much ever. It depends upon your willpower.
Got it.
Yeah. Any other doubts? Anyone? We have 3 more minutes.
Namaste, Doctor.
Namaste.
Actually, thanks very much for your speech. It will be very useful for us, I think so. I have been practicing these sessions for near about a month, I think so. It's going very well. One of the things I noted is I'm able to perform like sleeping asanas very good. Okay. When I try to come again to the padahastasana, something like that, it is very difficult for me to bend in its initial stages, like changing the
Yes. So it's like from one posture to another posture. When you're shifting immediately, you feel some discomfort, right?
Okay. Yes.
Okay.
Yeah.
So that's a place where breathing plays an important role. When you're practicing a yoga, definitely the instructor will say that you have to manage or you have to perform according to the breathing, right? It's something we can call it as a physiological response. Like when you're lying down, there will be a pooling of blood will happen, which means the blood will be more present more on your limbs, your hands and your legs. Suddenly, if you're getting up and performing one padahastasana or something, there will be a lack of blood supply towards your brain because the blood is present mostly on your legs. So you have to practice, come to standing posture or sitting posture very slowly. Then you have to go for the next posture. So that pooling of the blood can be compromised.
Great. Okay. Yeah, I will try that one.
And I have one more quick question, Andy. Like basically, when I'm doing the left side, there is a difference between left side body and right side body. Any posture on the left, right is easier for me than the left. So is it also because of the blood circulation and how the brain works? Like the left?
No. See, our brain have 2 parts, right? Right hemisphere and left hemisphere. And yoga is something which you're practicing in balance, right? So whatever you're doing on the right side, it should be done on the left side. So then only that equilibrium can be maintained.
Okay. Sure.
Last minute.
Thanks. As you said, if you can give another session, that will be great whenever you have time.
Okay.
Sir, one last question. So
Yes.
when we start teaching the beginners, some people are feeling, we can see that they are feeling difficult to practice both warm-ups and Soorya Namaskaras. So do you have any suggestions for that? Or
See, we have to make them understand. So today I came with the topic of anxiety and yoga. So all the session I was making you understand what is the yogic concept of anxiety, right? Like for a beginner, first you have to make them understand what is mean by this yoga asana, because most of them will come with the concept of it is an alternate way of exercise, right? Because that concept makes them miserable, because they are trying to make them sweat themselves, to make them keep on sweating and the sweat have to come from their head to the toe. That will be their first primary target. So first we have to make them understand. Then, as we discussed about the comfort zone, we have to make them understand wherever you feel comfort. Instructions we can give generally, but individually you have to understand where you feel comfort and where you feel a stability, and be there. Gradually they can improve their comfort zone or their stability, whatever we can say, flexibility, whatever it is. So it should be grown gradually, not in an immediate way.
Okay, sir. Thank you very much.
Okay, so time is up. So hopefully we can meet the next time.
Thank you, sir. Can you spend 1 minute?
Yes, please.
Okay. So how do you, or in your experience, how do you inspire like youngsters, like in teens now? Because it's very challenging. I have a teen, I have a younger one. It's easy to tell my younger one to do, and she follows. My son is in 9th grade. He's doing, but there's a lot of reasoning built in them. What kind of examples or things that works to give the right inspiration?
Yeah, I will tell about why should I choose the way. So it's like I just ask one question, like why. Someone asked me to practice yoga. I asked why should I practice, and finding that answer gives the inspiration. So it's like if you are knowing something, if you are whatever you are doing with the concept, if you are clear with the concept of doing or what the aim of doing, if you are clear with that, it can become a passion. And I'm not telling that other system or exercises or something is really bad, yoga is only good. No, everything have its own merit. It's the choice. Yeah? If you have clear understanding on one system and you are keep on eager to find new things on it, it becomes a passion too.
Thank you.
It's a suggestion from my side. What I felt, I don't know whether it's a good answer, but that's a part from my side, my suggestion.
Yeah, thank you.
Okay. Okay. So the time is up. Thank you for interacting with you. It's been a great pleasure for me. Namaste.